So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to fix an exhaust leak that is pre-turbo. So it's on somewhere on the up pipe or the headers, which is way down there. It's not bad yet, but you can kind of start to hear it when you're underneath the car, and you can kind of hear it when you're driving past like a tunnel or a concrete barrier right next to it. You hear the exhaust leak coming from underneath the front of the car. To get all that stuff off, the first step, we have to take a stock downpipe off, which involves 3 bolts. You can see 2 of which up here and a third one that you reach from the top. So first thing we're going to do is soak them and then get that stuff disassembled. If you have the stock heat shield, you're probably going to want to take that off to get to these. Luckily with this I don't have to. I can just kind of push this to the side a little bit. The mistake I made the first time doing this was I assumed that these were studs, so I didn't realize I had to pull this back and hold this bolt while undoing that side, and it just spun, and I thought something was wrong with it. But these 2 are nuts and bolts, and this third one is the one that's actually a stud. With these 2 top ones, you need 2 wrenches, both 14s. Let it soak for a while, and it should be pretty easy to break them loose. And once it's loose, if it's been all apart recently, you can just do these by hand. Hopefully you can see that. Those first 3 are out. I'm going to set them aside on top of the gasket so I remember what goes where, and we're going to have to lift up the car since the rest of the job is going to be done from underneath. Next, once the car is in the air, we can start on the bottom half. I'm going to let these heat shield nuts and bolts soak because they look pretty rusty, and I'm still 50-50 on if we're going to be able to get them off in one piece or if they're just going to break. So I'm going to let this soak and then go back to working on the downpipe. So now from underneath the car, you can see those last 2 nuts that need to be removed to get the downpipe off. We're looking up through along the downpipe and through the axle. So here is the factory downpipe. You can see a lot clearer how it's attached when it's out of the car, but it is pretty simple. You basically have 5 nuts or bolts up here on the turbo end, 2 nuts or bolts on the end that goes to the second cat that's back here, and 1 bolt that attaches to the transmission over here. All 14 millimeters. So this is how it all looks without the factory downpipe on. We got that off without too much headache. There is the turbo, and next we're gonna have to get this factory up pipe out. So one piece of advice I have is those exhaust heat shield bolts and nuts are pretty rusty. So I will say, to help not strip those and have those come apart easier, use one of these 6-sided sockets instead of these multi-sided ones. With these multi-sided ones, you're more likely to strip the bolt than you are with one of these. And there's one. There's one. It's like once you get them loose, you can kind of just do the rest by hand, which is amazing. I was half expecting these to come off in pieces or break or something. This, feel very lucky that this stuff is all coming apart relatively easily. It could have been much, much worse, for sure. As you can see by how clumsy I am, I'm definitely not a mechanic. Let's see. And there's one side. All done. Now we're going to have to do this, but on the other side. So the O2 sensor wire is attached with some clips up in here. Deciding if it's easier to unclip them and just pull the wire through, or if I should unscrew it here. Fucking hate clips. Yeah, I'll just unscrew this. So we unplugged the O2 sensor. You can see the wire just hanging there. I thought I'd be able to snake the wire through and take this out on its own, but I don't think that's the case. I'm going to have to unscrew it here and take it out completely, which is probably the better way to do it, because then this wire doesn't get all twisted up as you are removing or attaching it. I think for today I've reached a stopping point. And it's because of this wrench trying to get out the O2 sensor. The way that this moves around doesn't leave very much room for the wrench to turn. See if there might be a better way to go about getting this thing out.